Rents are soaring, landlords are leaving. What's behind the UK's rental crisis? We've got 4.3 million missing houses. How can that be? What do we mean? Listen on and you'll find out. This is Stuart Williamson at the helm, APW Market Wrap number 231, here to share information for time-short expatriates and international investors around the world. That's really what we just try and do, is put some ideas together for you to look at so you can be more educated and perhaps make better buying decisions. Now, on a virtual weekly basis, I think you could even a couple of times a week, I'm asked, is the UK residential property market good? You hear all this scaremongering, the budget's going to be a nightmare, it's going to be a terrible thing. And so people say, is it a good place to buy? Now, obviously we believe it is because that's what we do for a living. But I thought it'd be worthwhile outlining some of the major support factors. And one of those this week, which we're going to cover, is basically the reduction in properties available for rent, and this causing, therefore, rents to rise. So, why are there less properties? We've got landlord withdrawals. There's a recent RICS survey revealed a sharp decline in properties listed for rent. Landlord purchases had shown a drop of 29% in the 3 months ending October, which is the weakest amount of demand since 2021. And what impact does that have on renters? Well, obviously, a limited supply paired with a high demand will increase rental prices. So what's the current tenant rental demand? Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors have a demand index, and they say that tenant demand has remained high with a net balance of 19%, which is 19% over the average, which is consistent with the elevated levels observed over the whole of the last 3 years. They also have rising rent projections. Due to demand outpacing supply, 33% of all RICS surveyors expect rental prices to increase in the coming quarter. 33%. And just in case you're wondering who RICS are, it's the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. You know, they are a pucker organisation in the UK who are a benchmark for measuring properties, prices. You get a valuation on a home, it's a RICS valuation. They are the main people. What exacerbating factors do we have on these shortage of house price of rentals and rentals going up? The stamp duty hike for landlords, which came out at the budget, will encourage more people to sell rather than stay in the rental market. Again, that might help people trying to get onto the buying ladder, but at the same time, it'll add to the rental market shortfall. So we have basically rent growth and income pressure on top of that. Rent growth at the moment is 9.2% up to March. Up to September, it was 8.4%, so it's slightly lower. But given the latest stamp duty increase, the reduction in properties that are going to be available for rental, according to the Institute of Fiscal Studies, which will drive 500,000 landlords out of the rental market over the next 10 years, that can only lead to rents increasing. On top of that, you've got income strain. In many parts of the UK, you're paying 40% of your income in rent. In other areas, down as low as 20% in the northeast, for example. But on average, it's 30% of gross income in September. It's an all-time high since 2017. So all these factors, you could say it puts together a perfect storm for rents going up and buy-to-let coming out of the market, and therefore it being a good buying opportunity. Some insights we got from the industry are higher interest rates and rising costs will pressurise landlords, could lead to them coming out of the industry. Property agency Hadrian Property Partners remarked that dwindling rental stock is pushing rents even higher, while government actions have done very little to address rent availability for private landlords. So overall, all these contributing factors will lead to house prices rising. RICS data is already showing that there's been a net increase in purchase prices going up by 16% in October. So that's offering prices. Now then, what about these missing houses? What do we mean by that? Well, last year, the government think tank Centre for Cities released research which said that according to the average EU country, the UK has 4.3 million missing houses. I mean, where are they? Were stolen, fallen into the sea, what sort of thing? No, it's the fact they were never built. Even though there were plans from each ongoing government since 1947 to do so, they weren't built. So there's a 4.3 million housing shortfall in the UK. And this is what's even more unbelievable. If the government hits its £300,000 new build house target, it's still going to take 50 years for the UK market to catch up. That's if it hits it. Bearing in mind last year it was 200 and it's been down as low as 170 net in the past. It'll be 50 years. So what does that mean to the buy-to-let market, the rental prices in the UK? I'll leave it up to you to work it out, but as far as we're concerned, it can only lead to one thing, which is house prices continue to appreciate and rentals still going up. Now, what if they build houses quicker? Let's imagine they doubled what they did last year and built 442,000 properties in the coming years. It'd still take 25 years to catch up. Well, how about if they built 654,000 a year? That's still 10 years. So it's just not going to happen. So that is one of the underlying factors of the UK property market and why it is a good buying opportunity, because the infrastructure is just not in place to make it a less demanding location. I mean, the key takeaway from all this, I think, is the UK rental market is under intense pressure due to limited supply, high demand, and recent policy changes affecting landlords. Tenant demand remaining strong, rents are expected to continue rising, straining tenant budgets even worse. And with the fact that the 70 billion that the government has borrowed is going to not allow mortgages to come down significantly in interest rates much over the next 3 to 5 years, it is a perfect storm. So that's one of the reasons why we believe the UK rental market is a pretty good buying opportunity. Now, to go back to some questions from the last few weeks, we had some quite nice ones. Looking exactly right, looking back on the sting of paying higher stamp duty, the increasing value of each property far outweighs the initial pain. That's one of our readers, and I agree with that. You might pay an extra 2% to buy in, but with rents going up so quickly and capital appreciation, it'll be worth it. Another contributor says it's actually really refreshing to see someone put out a balanced assessment without the clickbait, doom-mongering and obligatory thumbnail where you're looking absolutely shocked by the latest reason to be outraged. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, it's difficult to try and get readership up when you're not doing clickbait, but we want to put out a well-balanced approach from a professional company helping professionals buy. And the final quote was, I think I said it's better that last week that the minimum wage goes up. And the last comment is, why is paying more for anything positive? Well, it made me cast my mind back to a gentleman from the 1800s called Ruskin. And he said it's far better to pay too much for something than it is to pay too little. If you pay too much, you perhaps get a bit of a loss because you pay too much. But if you pay too little, the level of service or quality of purchase you get make it all not worth doing in the first place. And I think if you do pay people no money, they're not going to respect the job they're doing and they're not going to give you full quality back. Very rarely. I mean, perhaps 1 in 100 would do. But so there's our comments. So do please subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this. Do come onto our website and have a look if you'd like to find more about the company and what we do. And if you'd like to find out more about what's going on in the market, please do email us. Thank you very much. Cheerio.